Good evening, very late good evening. Very sorry on being late as my desktop was disturbing me in my long absence. Some of the settings went wrong. Okay, I hope I am corrected. Good evening. Today's okay. Let me very late good evening. Handset sound. Okay. Angshuman Gangopadhyay. Thank you. Today's subject is 17th August 1945, Hanoi, Netaji Subhash Chandra. And then what? It is not possible in a short period of half an hour to discuss everything what happened in around him, what he did in Saigon, and then afterwards, in my hand some documents. I will just read out from those documents. I cannot imagine anything. Without document, I cannot talk. Some can talk, but I cannot. Okay. Saigon is very important, very important. Bangkok, then Saigon. In the disappearance chapter of Netaji Subhash Chandra, 1945, August. In my final argument to Justice Mukherjee, what I told, sir, Saigon is the place where the disappearance script was drafted. And it was enacted for the public in Taiwan theater. And even that time, when I was arguing, in 2005, the picture was not that clear. What is to some extent clear to me today? He asked some question like how Netaji could escape Taiwan when practically the geographical area was surrounded by the Anglo-American forces. I gave some answer, I have told you in the past, but I was not happy myself on the answer which I gave to him. Subsequently, on my readings on the subject, on records, I found answers to my own questions that I have told in the past. This time, going to Thailand, on going to Thailand, I have discussed with you his activities on 16th August in Bangkok. And Bangkok, from Bangkok, by aeroplane, military plane, he reached Saigon on 17th morning. And Bangkok and Saigon, both very important for his mysterious activities. In the past, also this time in August 1945, I've discussed some portions of his activities on Bangkok in my last discussion. Today I am going to Saigon chapter. Okay. In my hand one document. Let me read that document for your own interpretation. I will not interpret today all these things. I believe you will be able to interpret all these things. Yes. This is a document from National Archives of India, which was declassified in 1996. From that portion, Netaji's activities in Saigon on 17th. Okay. In Bangkok, I have told 16th, on Saigon 17th. Let me read from this file. Okay. While at Bangkok, while writing this document, making this document, in last part of 1945, early part of 1946, the CSDIC file, they are taking into account some of his activities in the past in Bangkok. Then coming to this 1945, August 16th and 17th. Okay, I am reading. While at Bangkok, several meetings of cabinet ministers of the PGI, that is Provisional Government of India, were held between 18 May to 14 June. June, July, August. That is everything after his retreat from the Rangoon, from India border, from Rangoon, retreat. Okay, after. The object of which was to decide as to the future course of action so far as the existence of the PGI was concerned. No decision could be arrived at as S.C. Bose had to leave for Singapore in order to carry out his propaganda over the radio against the acceptance of Wavell proposal. In course of these meetings, Lieutenant Colonel Major General Chatterjee suggested that a nucleus of the PGI should be shifted to Yemen province in order to contact the communists who had more influence in that part of China. I have already told you, during World War II, China was in 4 divisions, 4 different governments, and this part was being controlled by communists. Okay, Yemen. And through their help to contact the Soviet authorities in Siberia. At the same time, it was thought desirable to leave behind certain cabinet ministers and high-ranking INA officers to carry on the fight with the headquarters at Bangkok and Singapore. The following were the followers present in those meetings. S.C. Bose himself, Lieutenant Colonel Bhosle, Lieutenant Colonel Chatterjee, Lieutenant Colonel Kiani, Colonel Guljara Singh, IR, Swai, A.N. Sarkar, the law minister, law advisor, Ishwar Singh, general secretary, Paramanando, D.M. Khan, Devnath Das, and Marin Koni, all these persons. After the second meeting, exact dates not remembered, Kiani left for Singapore to arrange accommodation for Rani of Jhansi girls, numbering about 120 still in Singapore, were at that time in Bangkok. At about the same time, Chatterjee, IR and Ames wife left for Saigon. Saigon was being prepared from long before. Chatterjee to establish a site for the PGI, IR for broadcasting work, and Shohai on special mission to Hanoi, North Vietnam, where almost a total control by the communists, that is the Ho Chi Minh, not known to B1189. This is a coded word, B1189, and in archives, from other documents, when I corroborated this file, I saw this B1189 is Habibur Rahman. That is, this part of information they gathered on interrogating Habibur Rahman. On 16th August 1945, Bose came to Bangkok by a special Jap bomber. Actually, two bombers came from Singapore to Bangkok with two groups of his persons, chartered for him, accompanied by IR Captain Habibur Rahman, Captain Pritam Singh. On 17th at 7 a.m., Bose left Bangkok for Saigon, that is in the morning, accompanied by the following additional personnel of the PGI and INA: Guljara Singh, Major Hussain, and Devnath Das. Lieutenant General Ishoda and two other Hikari Khan personnel accompanied Bose and the party in a separate plane. That is two bombers. We started from Singapore, entering one stop, then Bangkok, then the same bombers too went to Saigon. According to B1189 information received from Hikari Khan and other sources, Bose and the parties reached Saigon on the same day, that is 17th August. On the following day, 18th August, S.C. Bose, accompanied by Captain Habibur Rahman, left for Tokyo in a plane originally meant for the conveyance of some high-ranking officials of Mori Butai, as placing of special bomber at his disposal was no longer possible. The rest of the Bose's party remained behind at Saigon, where at that time Chatterjee and Shoai were also staying. This is a big file, I need not read the whole thing. Here the task was, the remaining team was tasked to have contacts with the Yunnan province of China, Hanoi, Shanghai, and Harbin. Which are the tasks given to them. Now, in the file next part, the story is narrated that the plane crashed on the next day, on 18th, when taking off the plane from Taihoku Airport on the way to Tokyo. This is the story. But one thing, here is my question. When in another part of the British document, itself telling Bose has been seen in Saigon after few days of the plane crash. Then where the story of the plane crash stands. Bose has been seen in Saigon. You'll find this document in Transfer of Power volume 6, near the middle. Bose has been seen in Saigon after the plane crash. And subsequently, in last 1.5 decades, many corroborating evidence has come on his presence in Saigon after 18th August 1945. Here is a very important document on which, during the Justice Mukherjee Commission, my eyes was not focused. Though I knew that document was in hand. At that time, I did not give that attention, that importance to that document. Maybe that's my fault, my weakness. But after the final argument in JMCI, my mind was more drawn to this document. That is Justice Khosla Commission proceeding files and interrogation of Dr. B. Ramchandra Rao B. Ramchandra Rao. Yes, B. Ramchandra Rao. On 9th August 1971 in Bhubaneswar, in Puri, when B. Ramchandra Rao in 1971 was in jail, Bhubaneswar jail, without trial. He was brought from the Bhubaneswar jail to Puri court for interrogation while his hands were in chains. Who is this man? This man, B. Ramchandra Rao, of South Indian origin. His parents are South Indian. He was born in Singapore, school age in Singapore, a rebel child. His MB in those days in Melbourne University, Australia. And then in Germany, having two postgraduates in medical science from Berlin Military Medical College. Then he joined the German military. Then he was the deputy liaison officer. Liaison office, which was communicating in between Netaji Subhash Chandra in Berlin on one side, other side the German government. That important man. This man came in the submarine along with Subhash Chandra to Southeast Asia. This man worked sometimes as medical advisor to Netaji Subhash Chandra, as personal physician, sometimes as special emissary to different governments in Southeast Asia, particularly those governments who recognized provisional government of India and more especially to Tokyo government itself. Special emissary, very important secret services on behalf of Netaji Subhash Chandra. And his interrogation is very important from this angle. He's a highly qualified man, very close to Netaji, and from a different angle that this man was arrested by the British, first in Singapore, then kept in jail in Australia, then in West Punjab. Even after 47, he was in the jail. 2 years after partition, he was released from Pakistan jail. When he entered Indian border, he was again arrested by the British police. Only for few short period he was free. Again by Indian police he was arrested, kept in jail, different jails. And the tragedy is, such an important freedom fighter of India was kept in jail for years without trial. When he was brought for deposition to the Justice Khosla Commission on Netaji mystery, his hand was in chains. He was forced to walk 2 miles to walk into the courtroom. This B. Ramchandra Rao, I'll give you the in brief, in short, the very vital areas, what he has deposed. On 18th, on 17th, Netaji in Saigon. And not only that, in Saigon, remember, Saigon is a geographically very vital place. Capital of South Vietnam, communicated on roads, the rest, all the other parts of Vietnam. having a naval port, having an airport. And here on 17th, he took off, taking farewell from all the high-ranking PGI and INA officers. He took off. Also, Netaji, along with Habibur Rahman, has left the airport after a goodbye, and the plane went into the sky. And all the persons who came to give the last goodbye dispersed from the airport. After half an hour, plane in the sky, the plane came back. And Habibur Rahman and Netaji Subhash Chandra came out from the plane. Netaji expected no one of the PGI and INA present in the airport. But he saw one Mr. Das to be present. Netaji got alarmed and suspicious. He got afraid. Possibly he is spying against him. And he has, maybe Mr. Das has seen Netaji. But Netaji has seen. Naturally, here Netaji took a tremendous amount of precaution to hide himself. The next chapter of the escape is already framed there. Then he took shelter in his secret hideouts. Remember, there is a very important character. That character is Leon Prachandi. Leon Prachandi of Saigon, of Pondicherry origin, a big businessman in Saigon, and who donated all his wealth and house for the INA. It was his house was the local headquarters of the PGI in Saigon. This Leon Prachandi of Saigon gave shelter. And in other hideouts, Netaji has to pass few days because his planned submarine journey, which was already planned by the German intelligence officers and Japan intelligence officer and his own close persons, which was his own brainchild, the German submarine delayed to appear in the Saigon waters for few days because the radio communications was hampered for different technical reasons. But the radio operation set which Netaji was operating was at that time defective. It was to get it corrected, it took few days. This time Netaji was very anxious. His pressure shooted up. Feverish, very excited, restless for a few days. This is the period when the spies, British spies, American spies, British spies, could see him. That's why the reflection is there in the other intelligence papers that Bush has been seen in Saigon after the plane crash. And the submarine came after a few days. He left Saigon, and this was a German submarine. I've already told for Netaji in the Saigon, in the Singapore water, or Saigon water, there was few Japan submarines, also few German submarines. It is wrong to tell that only one submarine came from Europe to Southeast Asia to bring Netaji Subhash. There were a convoy of submarines at different times. Came from Germany to Southeast Asia. And many other persons of the INA and PGI came from Europe by submarine route. And many of these submarines stayed here to help Netaji's activities. And the last German submarine which reached here, it erased its swastika symbol from the wall of the submarine and took down the German flag, hoisted the flag of the USSR. And with this, the German submarines moved northwards towards the eastern coast of USSR, Vladivostok area, like that. One knows. This is the evidence given by B. Ramchandra Rao. Not that for the first time he has told this to the Justice Khosla. Before that, he tried to tell this to many high officers like Biju Patnaik, Kamraj, Nehru, all these persons. But all tried to suppress him. That took all the documents which is kept as a treasure of the INA with him. All these documents were taken away by these big persons. And he was put to jail without trial for years. That means Netaji disappeared, not from Taiwan, but from Singapore. And another part of the story, his deposition is subsequently from Saigon, a plane left for Taiwan airport with Habibur Rahman to enact a plane crash with some ornaments. And one pilot of Hikari Kikan was on the way to sacrifice his life to create a story as if a plane crashed in the Taiwan air base. And this drama was enacted in the Taiwan air base. A plane was dashed on the wall of the boundary of the airport, and the gold ornaments dispersed on the airfield, and Habibur Rahman bandaged, acid burn, all these things, drama in the military hospital in Taiwan to show to the world. This is the deposition of Dr. Ramchandra Rao. Now, let me corroborate to the other things, like the most important, and the corroborating other things that this Leon Prochondi was the moment the French army re-entered this Indochina. That time it was whole part was Indochina, South, North Vietnam's, Laos, Cambodia, all these 4 regions was known as Indochina. It was the French government colony thrown out by the Japanese during Second Great War. Again recaptured by the French forces helped by the Anglo-American forces, displacing the Japanese forces. The moment the French forces came in, this Leon Prachondi was arrested. First 3 months, severely grilled, interrogated by the French forces. Then he was handed over to the British forces. For 23 years, he was in jail. He was only released to die on Indian soil in 1968. He was neurologically paralyzed, physically paralyzed. He was so tortured. This Leon Prachondi's sacrifice, we have forgotten. And this arrest and torture of Leon Prachondi gives the corroborating evidence that Netaji was in Saigon, helped by Leon Prachondi and someone else. Maybe, as I have seen, the Communist Party of this region files in the declassified files along with the INA and PGI files, and there was a good relations between the regional Communist parties of Vietnam, even Malaysia. Another two important files I must mention. One each. Another file. The history of Gorachand Sannal. This Gorachand Sannal, after the end of the Second Great War, was deputed from the Bengal police as an officer to a prison in Singapore. He was there for a few years, and when his deputation term is completed, he came back to India. In the plane by which he came back to India, in that same plane, other persons who accompanied him in the plane was that famous pilot who subsequently became the chief of our Air Force, that is Air Commodore Air Marshal Subrata Mukherjee. And in that plane, he took 2 shots given to him by a Japanese who was in the prison cell. The Japanese told him that these swords were from Netaji Subhash Chandra. Netaji handed over the swords to this Japanese while he was leaving the jeep on the way to submarine. And this story, Gorachand Sannal gave to a press in March 3, 1969. And this story was published on 4th March 1969. And then there was a question by Professor Somorgoi in the Parliament. And on that issue, a Parliament file was made. That Parliament file is declassified in 2016. And the main subject of the press release of Gorachand Sannal is that Netaji's last escape, not by plane but by submarine. And this Gorachand Sannal was, I am seeing from the proceedings of the Khosla Commission, that he appeared in one of the Calcutta proceedings of the Justice Khosla Commission. I am seeing the mention. But what was his deposition, I could not see. And the tragedy is, in one place I am seeing on record that this Gurachand Sannal was murdered at a time in between, before 9871, on which day Dr. B. Ramchandra Rao is being interrogated in Puri court. And in the proceedings, the murder of Gurachand Sannal is recorded. And in subsequent inquiry, I could see that Gurachand Sannal was, his head was chopped off in front of his house, and head and trunk separated and left in front of his house in Dum, not Calcutta. He was butchered. And you see all the persons related to the depositions that Netaji's last journey into mystery is not by plane but by submarine. All the persons. B. Ramchandra Rao, whole life in jail without trial, and Gurachand Sannal murdered, and you have seen the fate of Subrata Mukherjee. This, I hope, give you some materials of your thinking, how serious the story is. To have a introspection, a research into the subject. Anyone in my Facebook has asked me questions, where he is now, what he is doing, all these things. I'm a very small man. I know nothing on these issues. I'm not the fit person to ask these questions. When, even today, I'm yet to conclude how we escaped in 1941 from Calcutta, how he came to Southeast Asia from Germany in 1943, how he entered into the darkness behind the curtain, its appearance in mid-August 1945. I know not. Who knows it? If they know, please let them educate me and give their informations, documents to the public of India. To me, the more important thing is today how physically, militarily, economically, India is brought up. How our lost geographical area is regained. This is my headache to me. Again, my question to myself, to give an answer to myself, what for the mission he left this Bharatvarsha? What for his mystery? Why he disappeared? What is his mission? What is his mission? If you enter that area, you will have many answers from within. Let me stop here today. Thank you. Good night. Any question? 3 comments, only 3 comments. Okay. অংশমান, কঙ্কনা, সলিউশনিং পার্থ, one thing, many things, many literature, many documents are in front of you. Truth many a time is in front of you, on your surroundings. But it is not your physical eyes, but your mental eyes, intellectual eye, your spiritual eye, which can discover the truth, not your physical eyes. We miss many things. Even that is in front of you, in front of me, on the surroundings. In future, we'll see that when many things will be revealed on Netaji mystery, you will be astonished to see that that very document, that very part of information is in your hand. But we fail to interpret that. Let me stop here. Thank you. Good night. No question from your side. And frankly, I have told, I am yet to fathom that chapter of his journey in January 1941. I've given my document, my interpretations of documents. You may accept that or not, but not the total story. 43. Some facts has come out, interpreted I, but yet to see the whole journey, even in 45, that mystery. If someone knows the things, will be kind if they can educate us. They are very old questions of 70, 80 years. And the question where he is, what he is doing, is a very bold, courageous question. I am afraid to touch that. Thank you. Good night. Bande Mataram. Jai Hind.